During my time outside New York City, I often took road trips. One journey led me to a small Delaware town called Milford. I had plans further south near Rehoboth Beach, about an hour away. To avoid an early morning drive, I left after work around 6 p.m., embarking on a 5-hour nighttime trip. Since my stay would be brief, I booked a budget motel, a familiar choice for my travels. I contacted the host last minute to secure a $50 0-cents rental that looked decent online. From the start, something felt off. The owner seemed hesitant, requiring multiple messages before confirming. He mentioned his father would leave the key and warned about tropical plants cluttering the kitchen, apparently impossible to remove on short notice. Fine, I thought. Just need a few hours of sleep before moving on. Arriving around 11:30 p.m., I found the place in near total darkness. The tiny gated community had maybe 20 houses, silent and still. Grabbing my duffel bag, backpack, and jackets, I unlocked the loudest lockbox imaginable, the metallic clang echoing in the quiet. That uneasy feeling crept in, the kind where your gut warned you to leave. Inside, the living room was passable, but the bedrooms were unsettling. One had vintage dolls scattered around, twin mattresses on the floor with no sheets. The next room? Nutcracker figurines everywhere, a bare bed, and a light switch that did nothing. No pillows, no comfort. The couch it was. Hungry, I dashed to the only open store. A Food Lion, minutes from closing. I grabbed pizza bites and a peach Snapple, then hurried back. To ease my nerves, I set up a camera before leaving just in case. Reviewing the footage later showed nothing unusual, but the place felt like a horror movie set. The tiny TV had no power cord, my phone had no service, and the couch was cramped. I left the lights on for comfort. Yes, even adults get spooked. Around midnight, nature called. The bathroom had dim yellow lighting and a curtainless shower. Then came the noises. A chair screeching across hardwood floors, followed by rhythmic tapping on the kitchen table. Like impatient fingers. Frozen, I sat there repeating, "This isn't happening." After agonizing minutes, I bolted out, knife in hand, ready to confront nothing. The chairs were untouched. I packed in record time and fled to a Holiday Inn an hour away, where the night clerk took pity and let me check in early. Years ago, I worked at a nondescript London motel, the kind frequented by weary travelers. Most nights were quiet. Just me, lukewarm coffee, and outdated magazines. But one November evening, everything changed. A disheveled man checked in late, paying in cash and mumbling incoherently. An hour later, muffled thuds and voices came from his room. Investigating, I found nothing until the door suddenly flew open. He rushed past me into another room, tearing apart the mattress and furniture like a man possessed. My attempts to calm him failed. Luckily, a security guard friend arrived. The struggle was violent. Furniture knocked over, fists flying. Police eventually hauled the man away, but the room was left in ruins. The rest of the night was a blur of statements and shaken nerves. Though I kept working there, every creak of the lobby door set me on edge. In high school, a class trip to Belgium took a dark turn. Our rundown motel had peeling paint and a foreboding vibe. The receptionist warned us to avoid the basement. Odd, but our top floor room felt oppressive, with musty air and flickering lights. That night, unease grew. Objects moved on their own. A blood-curdling scream jolted us awake. We huddled together, too scared to investigate. By morning, the motel was eerily calm. No trace of the terror. As we left, I couldn't shake the feeling something sinister still lurked in those shadows. The drive back was silent, the weight of the night pressing heavily on all of us. No one dared to speak about what we'd heard, or what might have caused it. Even Mr. Thompson, usually quick with reassurances, kept his eyes fixed on the road, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. When we finally arrived at our next destination, a bright modern hostel, the relief was palpable. The contrast was almost laughable. Clean linens, functioning lights, and no lingering sense of dread. But sleep didn't come easily. Every creak of the building, every distant voice in the hallway sent my heart racing. Years later, I still wonder about that motel. A quick search revealed it had been demolished not long after our visit, officially due to structural instability, though locals whispered about unexplained incidents. Some claimed it was once a sanatorium. Others said it had been a temporary morgue during wartime. Whatever the truth, I've never been able to shake the feeling that we narrowly escaped something far worse than just a bad night's sleep. Back in London, the motel job eventually became too much. The memory of that frantic man, his wild eyes and desperate violence, lingered in every shadowy corner. I lasted a few more months before handing in my notice. The final straw? Another late-night arrival. This time, a woman who insisted, voice trembling, that her room was already occupied when she unlocked the door. Management dismissed it as exhaustion, but I recognized that hollow fear in her expression. I never found out what became of that place. Maybe it's still standing, its flickering lobby light welcoming uneasy travelers. Or maybe, like the Belgian motel, it's gone, razed to the ground, its secrets buried under concrete. Either way, some doors are better left unopened. Now, when I travel, I stick to well-lit chains with hundreds of reviews. No more last-minute $50 0-cents rental. No more trusting grainy photos. And if a place feels off, I leave immediately. Because sometimes the cheapest room comes with a price you never agreed to pay. These days, I don't take chances with unfamiliar places. I've learned that gut feeling, that primal warning in the pit of your stomach, exists for a reason. It's saved me more than once since those unsettling experiences. Last summer, I found myself driving through rural Pennsylvania as a storm rolled in. My GPS suggested a quaint roadside inn, but when I pulled up, something felt immediately wrong. The vacancy sign flickered erratically, and despite the downpour, no lights shone through the windows. A handwritten note taped to the office door read, "Ring bell for service after 9 p.m." But there was no bell, just silence, broken only by the rain pounding on my rental car's roof. I sat there for 5 minutes, windshield wipers thumping, debating whether to knock. Then I noticed movement in an upstairs window, a shadow passing behind a curtain that hadn't been drawn completely closed. Except, the shape was all wrong. Too tall, too thin, moving with an unnatural jerkiness. My hand froze halfway to the door handle. That's when the power in the entire building suddenly came on, flooding every window with harsh yellow light. The shadow vanished. Without thinking, I threw the car into reverse and sped back onto the highway. I drove another hour through the storm to a brightly lit truck stop, where I spent the night dozing upright in a plastic booth, nursing Terry Billy coffee. The next morning, out of morbid curiosity, I looked up the inn online. The most recent review was from 3 years prior. A single sentence. Never again. No details. The business had no website, no social media presence, just that flickering vacancy sign and whoever had been watching from the upstairs window. Some might call it paranoia. I call it learned survival instinct. Because the world is full of ordinary places that hide extraordinary darkness, and the only warning you'll get is the chill that runs down your spine when something isn't quite right. These days, I always listen to that feeling. That Pennsylvania incident was the final straw. Now I have rules, hard-learned guidelines that keep me from repeating past mistakes. Never arrive after dark. Always check multiple review sites. If there are no recent photos, it's an automatic no. And if a place has that particular stale, heavy silence, the kind that seems to swallow sound, I turn around immediately. Last month, I broke one of my own rules. A work conference ran late, and by the time I hit the road, my options were limited. The only available room was at a motor lodge off Interstate 80. The kind with exterior doors and flickering neon. It had decent enough reviews, though one stuck out. Woke up at 3 a.m. to the sound of someone trying my door handle. Management said it was the wind. I almost kept driving, but exhaustion won out. The room was standard. Stiff sheets, the hum of an ancient AC unit, that fane. Smell of mildew masked by industrial cleaner. I did my usual checks, locked the deadbolt, propped a chair under the handle, set my phone to record audio. Then I collapsed into bed. At 2:37 a.m., the knocking started, not at the door. On the wall behind the headboard, 3 sharp raps, spaced evenly, like someone testing for hollow spots. I lay frozen, listening to my own pounding heartbeat. Then it came again, harder this time. The drywall actually vibrated against my back. I grabbed my things and was out the door in 30 seconds flat. The night clerk barely looked up when I tossed the key on the counter. "Problem with your room?" he asked, as if people fled at 3 a.m. every night. "Wall issues," I muttered. His expression didn't change. "Yeah, that one's scheduled for renovation." I didn't ask what that meant. Some mysteries aren't worth solving. Now, I keep a sleeping bag in my trunk and a list of 24-hour diners along my regular routes, because no matter how many rules you make, the world always finds new ways to remind you some doors should stay closed. Some walls have things behind them, and no discount is worth finding out what. The interstate incident was the final wake-up call. I now keep an emergency kit in my car: protein bars, bottled water, a portable charger, and a battery-powered lantern. If I can't find a reputable place to stay, I'll sleep in a Walmart parking lot before risking another questionable motel. But sometimes, encounters follow you. 2 weeks ago, I stayed at a well-reviewed boutique hotel in Vermont. Modern decor, keycard entry, even a complimentary wine hour. It seemed foolproof until I noticed the vintage portrait hanging above my bed. The subject's eyes appeared to track movement across the room. I told myself it was just an optical illusion until I woke at 3:15 a.m. to the distinct sound of canvas creaking. The portrait now faced the opposite wall. The front desk clerk found me in the lobby at dawn, clutching my luggage. When I explained what happened, she sighed and produced a ledger. "You were in room 207, she said, flipping pages. "We've had incidents there before." She offered a free breakfast, but no further explanation. I started documenting these experiences, not for any audience, just to maintain my own sanity. The patterns that emerge are unsettling. The time phenomenon. Nearly every event occurs between 2:30–3:30 ADE electronic interference. Lights dim or electronics malfunction beforehand. The sound gradient. Noises always start faint before escalating. A psychologist would call this confirmation bias. But when you've heard phantom knocks in 4 different states, seen shadows move against physics in multiple time zones, you stop believing in coincidences. Now, I travel with a decoy, a second wallet containing expired cards, and $17.00 in cash. If I ever wake to footsteps outside my door, I'll toss it into the hallway and hope whatever's out there takes the bait. It's not paranoia when the world keeps proving you right. The truth is, we're all just one wrong turn away from the kind of story no one believes until it happens to them. And I've had enough stories for a lifetime. These days, I don't just choose hotels based on ratings. I research their history, like a detective working a cold case. County archives, old newspaper clippings, even chatting up local librarians. You'd be surprised what you uncover. That charming Vermont inn, built atop an abandoned asylum's burial ground. The Pennsylvania roadside stop, site of a notorious 1970s murder-suicide. Last Tuesday, I discovered my go-to Chicago hotel was a former speakeasy where 3 mobsters were gunned down in 1929. The current owners had thoughtfully placed the ice machine directly over the original bloodstains. I canceled my reservation immediately. I've developed a sixth sense for these places now. There's a particular quality to the air in troubled buildings, not just mustiness, but a charged stillness, like the moment before a thunderstorm. The hair on my neck stands up the second I cross the threshold. My friends think I've gone overboard. It's just old plumbing, they say when I describe the knocking. Settling foundations, they insist about the footsteps. But I know what I've experienced. The world is layered with unseen histories, and sometimes those layers bleed through. Now, I carry a small bag of salt in my suitcase, an old superstition. Sleep with the bathroom light on, and always request a room that doesn't end in 13. Or face the cemetery. It's not foolproof. Last month in Savannah, I woke to find every electrical outlet in my room had popped its cover plate during the night. But it helps me sleep marginally better. The truth is, we're all temporary guests in spaces that hold memories we can't begin to comprehend. Most of the time, the past stays politely buried. But when it doesn't, well, that's why I always keep my bags packed and my car keys within reach. Some lessons you only need to learn once. At this point, I've accepted that my travels will always carry an edge of unease. The price of knowing too much. But there's a strange comfort in the routine now. The research, the precautions, the midnight escapes to well-lit diners. I've traded convenience for peace of mind, and oddly enough, I sleep better for it. The world remains full of mysteries, most of them harmless. Yet, I've learned that when the hair on your neck rises, when the air goes still and electric for no reason, that's when you listen. Not every old building holds darkness, but enough do to warrant caution. So, I'll keep moving, keep watching, and most importantly, keep trusting that instinct that says when to walk away. Because in the end, the only ghost story worth avoiding is your own.